Check, check. All right, guys, look at this. So we got our Fujifilm XS10 right here versus the Sony A7 IV. Look at that. Look at this sexy beast of a camera. The Sony A7 IV versus the Fujifilm XS10. Who asked for this? They're not even in the same league. We're going to compare them anyways because why the f not? Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel, and in today's video I want to talk about a lopsided comparison. God, fucking drool all over. The Sony A7 IV versus the Fujifilm XS10. Now I've owned both of these cameras for quite some time. XS10 a bit longer than the Sony A7 IV, but I've used them. I understand what's good about them. I understand what are some quirks, and I'm not going to touch on everything. I'm just going to talk about some stuff that I feel is important to me and what I look for in a camera. Why don't we just go ahead and just get right into it with these two cameras? It's not even a fair comparison, man. Like now, putting them side by side, you can tell that Sony is a big boy. The Fujifilm XS10 just looks like a tiny toy camera. They're both great to hold in the hands, but I find that the Fujifilm XS10 is a bit more comfortable because of how deep that grip is. The Sony A7 IV, because of its bigger size, it does feel a bit more tiresome to hold. Both have a flip out LCD screen. Some of you may hate this, some of you may love the idea. I much prefer this nowadays because I'm doing a lot more video stuff, so this makes total sense to me. The XS10 has a bit sharper of a screen at 1.4 million dots back LCD touchscreen, and the Sony A7 IV has a 1.3 million dot back LCD touchscreen. And as for the viewfinder experience, I find that both are really bad in sunny conditions. When it's like bright outside, it's really hard to tell in your viewfinder what you're looking at. I mean, it's just not as sharp and not as clear as some of the higher premium cameras, such as the Sony A7S III, which I find to have the best viewing experience coming from an EVF. They both have similar button placements. The Sony does have more custom buttons placed around the camera, so you can set up configurations till your heart's content. The lack of D-pad from the XS10 and such a tiny little joystick makes going through the images on the spot quite slow and annoying. The XS10 also has a swipe gesture if you need to access more of your custom settings, but I find this method not something I use. I need to visually see the buttons on the camera to remind myself that I have custom function buttons. Now this could work for some of you guys, but it doesn't for me, and I don't use them at all. I do like the rubbery nipple that is on the Sony with its scroll wheel as well. It makes things a lot easier to scroll and find images that you're looking for, and you can sift through more images quickly. However, the XS10 does have one trick up its sleeve, and that is this little dedicated switch right here that gives you, if you guessed it, a pop-up flash. Then you are right. Even though I don't use this feature ever in my life, I find that it's such a waste of space on a camera. It's honestly not targeted towards me. I feel like this is towards the beginner photographers out there that needs the flash. Both cameras have image stabilization, and I find that the Fujifilm XS10's IBIS to be a bit better than the Sony's. The Fujifilm XS10 is not weather sealed, whereas the Sony is. The Sony A7 IV memory card slot door is on the right, and it houses dual memory card slots, and one slot can fit a CF Express Type A. The Sony also has a full-size HDMI port, which have been asked by their users, making this an attractive piece of tool for professionals and semi-pros out there. The Fujifilm XS10's memory card is at the bottom, and you can only fit one. So all photos and videos, JPEGs and RAWs are written into that one card, making the buffer lag and will slow down your shoot. Now this is one of the quirks you will have to live with owning the XS10. Because of the Fujifilm XS10's size, its lower resolution LCD screen, and its EVF, it draws in less power, making the XS10 very capable of going through a day just with one battery. But your mileage may vary depending on how you shoot. This is coming from my experience and how I shoot things. And usually I'm out shooting portraits for like maybe 2 to 4 hours sometimes before I have to switch out batteries. The Sony's battery life is great as well. It's a bigger camera, it draws a lot more power than the XS10, but I find when I'm out shooting with the camera, I don't ever deplete my battery. And now this is going out just taking photos for a few hours again. I say your mileage may vary depending on your shooting style. Now let's move on to the autofocusing. No contest whatsoever. I don't even want to show you the autofocusing comparison because I know that the Sony is just way stickier. It focuses a lot better. The XS10 is not there yet, but here you go. Here's a side-by-side comparison of the Sony A7 IV and the XS10. Right now, we have the Sony A7 IV and the Fujifilm XS10. I'm also using the 50mm G Master, one of Sony's native best lens, and then I'm using the XF33mm f1.4, one of Fujifilm's best native lenses. For the autofocusing test, we're just going to do everything on 0. So you know how there's like tickers on the left and the right to adjust your focusing speed and your sensitivity. Everything's going to be pushed in the middle. Everything's going to be balanced in the middle, so it's an even comparison. And I'm trying to shoot everything at f1.4 and then at ISO 400, so you're getting like basically the same look. And we're going to use Eterna for the Fujifilm XS10 and then the s-cinetone for the Sony. I'm just going to move back. Turn around. Walk forward, turn around. You get anything? What if I move this way? I move that way. What if I serpentine? Do you guys get stuff? What if I just move really fast? Serpentine all the way. Are you guys? Is it picking it up? Is the Fuji losing me? Oh. Let me go, get out of the way, and then pop back in. Who wins? Who wins? And it's a beautiful day here in Portugal, and the resident seagull lives on top of the roof, and I swear to God, I think it knows how to shit on people. Like every time I see people coming into the house, I always see a drop of shit like right beside it. Like it knows how to aim, I think. I think it's fucking with us. But I gotta say that everything's at 0 with autofocusing. I know that you can adjust the sensitivity, but I just wanna give you a comparison straight as if it's straight out the box, because for some people, I guess the user experience, it matters more than coming in and adjusting it, because then that just takes more work. But if you wanna get the best out of your camera, I recommend you adjust the sensitivity and the focusing speed of it, and that way you can get the best autofocusing. But for now, we're just going to see how each camera fares with one another. I'm gonna run. How's it look? Do I look like an idiot? Oh God. Oh God. I'm fucking hot. This is crazy. Why am I doing this? What if I do this? See, you can, and then do this. 1, 2, 3. I'm 11. Stranger Things. 1, 2, 3. What if I go down? And then I go up. Oh shit. With Fuji, they're not really good at sticking. The autofocusing is not really sticky. So we'll see how this works. I'll be like this. Yeah. Oh yeah. Go down and surprise. Even though the Fujifilm XS10 has a cheaper build quality than the Sony A7 IV, and sometimes it does look and feel like a toy next to something like a full frame camera, it's what's under the hood that matters. And this camera has the same sensor as the one found in the Fujifilm X-T4, their higher end camera, which means you're going to get a 26 megapixel sensor, making it so you can take high quality images out of this tiny dinky little camera. The Sony A7 IV has a 33 megapixel full frame sensor. Both take amazing images, albeit the Sony shots does come out sharper and it comes out cleaner. But again, this is all subjective. Not saying sharper is better by any means. It's just like, it depends on what you fancy. I may like something totally different from yours, and we can agree to disagree on that. Now let's move on to the colors. Now again, this is a sensitive topic because the colors and color science are subjective. I can only speak about my experiences and what I prefer. I prefer the colors on the Fujifilm. I may have a little bias to this because I've been shooting with the Fujifilm X system for like 6 years now. The Sony A7 IV did improve their color science. Last time that I owned a Sony was when I had the Sony A7 II, and that shit was just horrible, man. The colors, they suck so much. So I'm glad to say with this camera, the skin tones have improved. Regarding workflow and raw processing, again, this is coming from my experience. I find that Fujifilm RAW files are easier to edit and to work with. I can pull the colors smoothly and without hiccups. But with the Sony A7 IV, it still takes me a bit longer to get the color and the look that I want coming from that camera. Again, I have to reiterate, even though I do spend time massaging the Sony RAW files to the way that I want, I find that editing a Sony A7 IV file versus a Sony A7 II file, it's a lot faster than before, so keep that in mind. Let's talk about the video quality. I would say the Sony wins in this department. You can shoot up to 4K 60. However, the 4K 60 is at a 1.5 times crop. The video codecs you get on the Sony is awesome. You get 10-bit 422 with unlimited recording with S-Log, making it easy to pull colors if you want to grade your images. I forgot to mention that the Sony 4K footage is oversampled from a 7K sensor, which means that you're going to get clean, ultra sharp and crisp looking footage. On the other side, the XS10 can do 4K 30, but at 8-bit 420 internally. It can do 10-bit 422 if you hook it onto an external monitor. The image does fall apart on an 8-bit footage, and the Fujifilm XS10 has a 30-minute time limit recording. And I find that once you shoot 4K video on the Fujifilm XS10, the battery does die in about 20 to 25 minutes on a full charge, so just be careful. Both have their native cinematic picture profile though. The Sony has the s-cinetone that you can find in their cinema camera lines, and the Fujifilm has their Eterna film simulation, which is their cinematic picture profile. Now I'm going to leave both videos side by side, and you can tell me which picture profile looks good for you. Let me know what you guys think. The Sony A7 IV comes in at a whopping $2,500, and the Fujifilm XS10 comes in at $1,000. I would say if you're someone who's a hobbyist and enthusiast level and that wants to focus more on photography with a little bit of video, I would say go for the XS10. And I'm just going to assume that you're starting out and that you don't have much of a budget to go for anything else. So I find that this camera is good for you guys, and it's not as daunting and overwhelming to learn like the Sony A7 IV. More on that later. If you're someone on a budget, go for the Fujifilm. Lenses and cameras are fairly cheaper than their full frame counterparts. The Sony A7 IV I find is a great hybrid camera. It's great for advanced photographers, someone that understands how to operate a camera. I find that if you're a beginner and you do have the budget for a full frame kit and you do choose Sony as your first, chances are you're going to be overwhelmed with information with the Sony system. Although the Sony's menu system has improved in the Sony A7 IV, it's still very confusing to me, and I know it will confuse you guys too. The Sony A7 IV is like a computer. It's fast, it's quick, making this a great tool for anyone earning money with their camera. It's reliable, it's great for videos, and the video quality on this is insane. It takes great photos and overall a better package than the XS10. The Fujifilm XS10 does punch above its weight though. Having the same image sensor like the ones you can find in the Fujifilm X-T4 alone makes this a worthy adversary. If you were to compare photos only, the XS10 can keep up with the Sony A7 IV. I think the images you get out of this is fantastic. And don't forget, you still have the film simulations in here to give you an array of looks. And for me, I love using my XS10 for photos. The images I get resonates with me more. The Sony A7 IV is more of a workhorse. I would use it for client work and video work. It's more reliable, and I find that the clients are used to that corporate look, that clean and that sterile clinical look that Sony cameras are known for. Every camera has its uses. I like to play with Fuji. I like to work with Sony. Probably left out some smaller details. That's about it for now. It's such an unfair comparison, but I like talking about cameras. So if you have any questions, if you have any comments, feel free to leave them down in the comments section below, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. It's fun to compare, especially when I know there are people out there that are geeking on cameras as much as I am. I'm just doing this for you guys. Okay guys? Don't forget to follow me on my socials. That's where you're going to see more of my work at TikTok, Instagram at Iamtongue. Hope you guys like this video. Let me know what you guys think for the Sony A7 IV. Do you guys prefer the Fujifilm? Do I have any buddy that shoots with both systems? Let me know your thoughts, because when I started picking up the Sony, everyone thought I was switching to the dark side. For me, like, I had to branch out to Sony so that I can get something a little bit more reliable than what Fujifilm has to offer. So yeah, again, let me know, why do you use Sony? Why do you use Fuji? Let me know in the comments below. And that is it for me, guys. Once again, my name is Tongue, and I'll see you in the next video. I love you. Goodbye.